please join me in welcoming Adriaan Kruger for the next session. Adriaan Kruger is the co-founder and CEO at Nivatech.io and is going to be highlighting innovative digital healthcare solutions. Adriaan has more than 20 years of experience in ideating, building, and growing companies. His passion revolves around digitizing the clinical research and public health space, and his mission is to make a positive impact in the world of clinical research and help inspire others to join the cause. So this is going to be a very interesting session and a great opportunity to learn from real-world examples of innovation in healthcare. Please welcome Adriaan.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's really nice to be here. I know the previous session ran a bit over, so I'm just going to sort of jump into it, if that's okay. I'm just going to share my screen here. Can I just confirm that my screen is visible in full screen mode?
Yes, it's visible.
Awesome. So, I think today I'm going to tell you or share a couple of case studies with you of things that we've been part of. I have a technology background, and we started this company about 10 years ago, and today we have a bunch of different companies that assist in digitizing the clinical research landscape in Africa. I think when we started it 10 years ago, the big need was really to remove paper out of the process, and it's such a difficult thing. But this, the first stat that I have here is really something that as might have been shared already today. But this is the thing that we're trying to solve for. It is the fact that that Africa accounts for roughly 18% of the world's population, and yet we sit with over 25% of the world's disease burden, but we only receive about 3% of the global clinical trials. And there's lots of things happening and changing at the moment with new regulatory guidelines from a genetic diversity inclusion perspective that will definitely help increase this number. But we are also on a journey to help do this. And I think the big problem when it comes to clinical research, bringing projects to Africa, is the fact that it's very, very paper driven. So it's very inefficient and prone to errors. And the web-based technologies that do exist and that we can use to run these clinical trials or research projects in a digital way is often too expensive. Because there are no local vendors, because the market is really too small and the barrier to entry is extremely high. I know in the previous session it was also shared that the whole process of getting a software platform to a state where it's fully validated according to the global regulatory guidelines is an immense barrier to cross. But I think that is something that we were quite naive when we went into this journey 10 years ago, and we just powered through all the documentation, through all the different difficult audits. And today, the way that we sort of solve for these types of problems is the fact that we are an African company and we serve the African community, and our platforms that we have in the commercial space really serves the need of researchers on the African continent. We have hundreds of research locations across the continent that make use of our digital platform to run their trials or to manage their clinical research centers. But the thing that I really wanted to discuss today and share with you today is more the work that we do in the public health space. And these are through our philanthropy or donor partners. And there we've engaged with several of them over the past many years to help digitize a lot of the governmental institutional kind of processes, because in the majority of African countries it's also quite it's still very, very primitive, very paper driven. Sometimes we're lucky it's Excel driven and they track specific things on an Excel sheet. But I'm going to share a couple of case studies with you today of what we've done to help digitize the process of clinical research on the continent. So the first one is probably the one that is gaining the most traction at the moment, really exciting. And the platform is called the Clinical Trials Community Platform. It's a live platform. I'm going to show you a live demo in a couple of minutes. It is the URL is called ctc.africa, and I'll showcase it to you now. But it is something that we've embarked on with our funding partners. We've got local partners that help us implement and run this platform. We have very close partnership with a group based out of Kenya called the Science for Africa Foundation, and we are supported by several global partners to make this platform really work. And what it ultimately is doing is there is so much data that exists in the public domain of clinical research centers, clinical researchers, the stakeholders that help run these trials and execute these clinical trials. But no one has built a matchmaking kind of platform for them to find each other, for pharmaceuticals companies to find research centers that are maybe in a specific region of a country where the burden on malaria is quite high and they want to assist with a malaria research project. So this is why this project is there. And yeah, today we're going to show you a bit of a demo. So it's an interactive platform. It's free and open access. Anyone can access it. Today is just a short demo, but you're more than welcome to go and play around on the platform to see for yourself. And the fact is, yeah, we're really there to connect the clinical trial community. We have there's the main goals are listed there, and our main source of data to date is really the clinical trial registry. So there are many registries globally and also locally here in Africa where all the different trials are listed and loaded and as part of the regulatory approval process. And we pull data out of these registries with a number of different data aggregation methods, and then we go through the process of cleaning the data because there's an immense amount of duplicate data and dirty data, as we can call it, and we then bring it back through our data science team. We bring it back locally into the platform. Then we do reverse lookups from a geospatial Google Maps and a GPS point of view, and then we start plotting all these research centers. From an analytics perspective, you can just imagine the types of analytics that we would get. We have about 30,000 clinical trials that are listed here, cross-referenced against about 3,800 research centers. We have all the funding that we know of on the continent, and then it all comes together on this interactive map. So as you toggle the specific switches there at the top, the specific entities that we are looking for will be plotted based on their GPS location, and you can activate multiple of them. And as we are connecting more and more bits and pieces of this research ecosystem, we will have direct links to them. So another project that we've been involved with is the digitization of the National Regulatory Authority or Agency of Nigeria. So there's a direct link there. If you click on that button, it will actually take you to the actual platform that we've implemented for NAFDAC. And there's actually some exciting news towards the second part of my presentation, also specifically about this initiative. But yeah, the CTC platform is there. All of these little icons that you see there are clickable the same way that we showcase the regulatory agencies or the ethics committees. We are profiling the contract research organizations, the laboratories, most importantly, all the research centers. That is the one that has taken us an extremely long time to help profile. The geospatial technology that we use here, we've gone through different iterations, and the one that we use here at the moment is really cutting edge, used by a lot of the companies based out of Silicon Valley. So it's really has got a rich, lots of features, very rich in its tech stack, and it allows us to do all kinds of interesting things. There's always this toggle between a map and a list view, so it makes searching specifically very easy depending on what you're specifically looking for. And whatever you have chosen as the specific stakeholders that you want to see at the top, those will be listed there in that list view. Then on the right hand side, we have these filters. So it's like I don't know, it's like an Excel spreadsheet, maybe on some nitros that allows you to really filter specifically for what you're looking for. And this is a new feature that we've activated. It starts building these interconnected little bits and pieces, and it shows you how these entities connect with each other. So this is an example of the Africa CDC. There's the CONVAC network of research centers, and we are now working on a number of different ways of how we can build these connections just on the clinical research ecosystem. You're more than happy to go to the research, to the specific platform and play around with it. If you have any questions or you would like to see a more comprehensive demo, more than welcome to reach out to us. The second and my last case study, and I know my session is only really, I think I'm already over time. I only had 20 minutes, but I lost 10 minutes. I'm going to do my best to go quickly through this one. But through our interactions with the global funding and the pharmaceutical community over the past, I would say 8 years, the biggest reason for them not bringing more clinical research projects to the African continent is the fact that our regulatory agencies struggle to process applications fast enough. And I think it's just because we didn't have the tools and the digital platforms to help with that. So like I mentioned earlier, with the Nigerian regulator was our first project. It has been delivered successfully, and now more recently we are busy building a brand new version of that portal specifically for the South African regulator called SAPRA, and is also to help fast track the clinical trial application process, including a whole bunch of other things that a regulator needs to do. But this platform, we're in this final stages of building it. We are planning to launch it next year to internal for some testing. Once it is successful, we are definitely going to take it to other regulators, and we are already in discussions with the team at NAFDAC to adopt this. So it's the basic process. So you can think of any workflow process that you would typically go through when you apply to a regulator, but this is now specifically for a clinical trial application. So the clinical trial forms, which is adopted from the AVREF templates. We follow these forms. We build it very digital way of doing it. You can track your progress fairly easily. You can upload any types of documentation or import permits or a copy of the protocol, whatever you need. We allow for online payments to take place. So we have a payment gateway, and we've chosen an African payment gateway provider, probably a world-leading provider that can facilitate the transactions in a number of different African currencies. And then the review process, we're making it very intuitive, very nice for the review committee, because we have to make their lives easier. So we have the split screen view where they can easily review a specific application that has come in. They can add screenshots, they can make annotations, they can add comments, and then all of that correlates centrally back to a meeting that takes place from the reviewers. So the administrator of the regulator will then be able to set a meeting. In the specific meeting, they'll be able to allocate specific applications that have come into specific reviewers that will look after it. So here's a view of what that would look like. So we'll see, okay, these are all the participants that's going to be there. These are all the different types of applications and who's going to review what. And then there's like an active agenda, and people will know, okay, cool, this is what they have to do. And then once they've collected all their comments, it will all be gathered centrally as part of the whole meeting process that takes place. And in the end, we have direct integration with a digital sign-off capability. So the actual chair of the committee, the vice chair, or whoever is the designee, they'll be able to sign off ultimately on the decision. And this is just one example of how we're going to try and streamline and digitize the process of national regulatory authorities and agencies on the African continent. And that is really, in a nutshell, I've tried my best to make up some time, but that is really, in a nutshell, what we're busy with. There's all kinds of other things that we are also busy with, but for today's case study, I just wanted to share this, and happy to take any questions, or afterwards, if you want to reach out to us or connect with us, please do so. We'll be more than happy to share with you the different things that we are busy with. And thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Adriaan. That was absolutely interesting. It's always exciting to see how technology is being used to transform health delivery, and your work is a true testament to the power of innovation. So thank you. We would reach out with more questions or clarifications, and then we'll share with our audience later on. Thank you.
It's only a pleasure.
Yeah, it was great having you. And thank you so much for our participants for joining this session. I hope you're learning. I hope you're engaging and networking. We still have, some great sessions for you. We have 2 more panel sessions and a product showcase before the end of the conference today. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for engaging. Remember that you would get a conference participation certificate at the end of the conference. And I hope you've enjoyed all of our sessions so far. It's been absolutely incredible. The panel sessions, the case studies, and the keynotes we had at the beginning. So thank you.